you've watched this channel much at all, you know I have made a lot of effort researching the history of Laurel Lake cemeteries. Brian and I have been out on several of them. We're going to do that today. But we have located on maps the old ones that are under the water and where they used to be, and the ones that were never underwater that got moved, and we tried to locate as many of those as we could. Today, we're going looking for two that were moved that still to this day are not inundated by water. Today, we're going to look for Delph and Pointer. So if you like Laurel Lake history, stay with us. We got sidetracked by two old home places, so for the sake of time, I'm dividing this trip into parts 1 and 2. Thank you. Out here in the woods today with my buddy Brian Maxey, down in between Walker Branch and Stillhouse Branch in the woods, looking for the old Cook home place. You just about have to know where you're going. We follow the old roadbed in. It comes and goes. But just to give you an idea of how the forest can conceal things. Brian's been here before, so he had the GPS of this location. But if you're looking around here, the forest just starts creeping in on you, don't it, Brian?
Yeah, it's pretty thick back in here. It's time to take over like 60, 70 years.
But you know, you're walking along here in the forest, you know, you're trying to find an old home place. You see plenty of places on the ridge tops and the flat spots where the home place used to be. And as you're walking along, what the forest conceals, the forest will reveal. And there's the chimney. Thing's 25 feet tall, Brian. Yeah. Amazing. They sure found a nice spot out there at the end of the ridge.
Yeah, the ridge goes on up that way about another mile or so, and then it ends up there like over a cliff on it.
That's 25, 30 feet tall.
Yeah, every bit of it. You see right there? It was double-sided out here.
It was double-sided.
They closed this side off back a long time ago for whatever reason.
Yep.
I never was for sure why they done that.
Well, they definitely closed off one side of it. Lord, the stories.
Yeah.
That could be told. Right here goes some of your foundation wall.
Yeah, right here. I point these out when I'm down here in that Facebook Live video. These are here's the foundation rocks I point out all the way through here.
Yeah, they're laying around everywhere. What's that old piece of metal right there?
Oh, buddy. There's no one of them old blue bottles.
Yeah.
This Vicks, whatever.
Yeah.
I got hand in that house.
Wow. Well, we've searched and searched. Down on the river, we called that one the old Cook home place. But we're pretty certain this one is definitely the actual home place up on top of the ridge. If you can see the glistening of the water way off in the distance there. There's the lake, that silvery looking, that's the lake. And that probably is where Walker Branch is meeting the main lake, ain't it, Brian?
Yeah. Yeah, Walker Branch comes out this way and meets
and
maybe Spruce Creek, I'm gonna say.
Could be. And then back over this way, Stillhouse would run left or right back to the lake. But what a great ridge. I mean, this thing just basically looks like, Brian, that it circles all the way back around. Does it circle all the way around?
Yeah, it goes up right there and it takes you up right to the cliff on it from the top. be a good little camping place in there.
Now, we call this the Cook home place, but now I'll tell you something. This place was full of Delphs.
Yeah.
I call this Delph Ridge myself.
The old Delph Cemetery was up the road right there.
Yeah, we're going to stop and show you the old Delph Cemetery where we think it is here in just a minute.
When you go back out that way right there.
Yeah.
There's an old cedar, like a poe thing, standing there. That the old man always told me, said if you find that poe thing right there, he said you'll find the old cemetery.
Yeah, I think we definitely walked past it, because when we walked past it, I said, "Well, it's a peculiar looking spot right here."
There's stones everywhere and stuff.
It's definitely the old home place right here. And to the best of our knowledge, this is the Cook home place, right, Brian?
Yeah, this is the old home place. I've got pictures that about looks just the same as it.
But now, would it be fair to say the Delphs were here and the Cooks married in?
Yeah. Crawford married Litha, I guess, 1903. He married her.
Married Litha.
And then there was some time period right there. He moved to Indiana. He worked for the railroad. He must have moved to Indiana right there to work the railroad and stuff. Cause see, my mom's dad is where he lived. That was Indiana up there. That's what he did, was work the railroad.
Yeah, a lot of people left. A lot of people left here to go make a living. Well, it's a beauty, man. Out here in the middle of the forest. Beauty. Out here in the middle of nowhere. Quite a few old rocks piled up around here too, Brian. If these hills could talk.
Yeah. They have been the stories for days, man.
Stories for days. There's a lot of old foundation stones here.
No, I've never seen a home place actually in the food. I think it's got on it.
It's got the cedar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's history hidden in the woods now, folks, of parts of Laurel and Whitley counties. This is, of course, Whitley County. History that has disappeared. It's hidden, not so obvious. If you could go back in time 100 years, a lively community out here with a number of family members that resided along these ridges and farming and plowing and running animals. And
I know of a bunch that lived up here too. So a woman said that they used to live next to the Cooks.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
But all of a sudden we built the lake, and the land has been being taken back over by nature.
Yeah.
They run the people off, Brian.
Yeah. Use eminent domain and bought everybody up.
So out here on Delph Ridge is what we're gonna call this. Is what I'm gonna call it, because the Delph Cemetery is what we're gonna show you right here in a few minutes. In 1973, the summer of 1973, July, August, and September, Corps of Engineers moved the Delph Cemetery along with several others, and over 30, we believe 30 individuals that were relocated mostly to Rest Haven Cemetery. And this is the location of where the Delph Cemetery was. It's real close, maybe what, a couple hundred yards from where we just were.
From the old home place.
And I'm gonna tell you how come. If you look, you can see these graves
You can see them real good over here.
where they dug them out and they backfilled them, but then they settled.
There's 5 or 6 right there in a row.
There's one right there. There's an indentation right there where those leaves are.
There's about 4 up here.
There's another one right there, indentation right here. That's an old grave. There's another one right here that is really sunk.
That old cemetery marker should be right here, man. And they go over right here.
Yeah, here's another one.
Right in a row.
This is another one. There's several right there all in a row. Go over and stand, Brian, so I can kind of give them some reference. Stand right on top of those old graves. Here's a couple. He's standing between them right now. Step off into them.
So here's one right here.
There's one.
There's another one.
Another one right there. There's another one right there.
They're right in here in a big row right here.
Yep, a straight row. Then come over here to that one.
Hey, they come back here. They're just back. They're on the back row right here.
They're in a row. Right through here. Right through there.
The old post should be right up here. The marks and stuff. The old cedar post.
Go over and stand in each of those. If you can.
So here's one right here.
Yeah.
Right here's one. Right there, you see how my foot's sinking down into it. Then right back here, son.
Stepping, there's another one right there.
It was like a kid grave or something right
Yep.
here. This is real small.
And that's a big one right there.
Yeah, this was an adult grave right here. Look, this one here still got the headstone.
The old stone.
I'm serious. Come here, check this out.
Sure is, there's the headstone. Now the reason why they didn't take this headstone is it's an unknown.
See right here?
It's an unknown,
Yep.
so they left it. And down where they moved these people to Rest Haven, they just put a marker that said Delph Cemetery unknown.
This would have been,
Son of a gun. Here's some more.
See right here, you got about 4 or 5 more going up through here.
Yep, there's 4 or 5 in a row right there.
Then you look back in here, you see more splits back here. See?
Yep.
One right here back behind this, you see?
Oh, there's several, Brian. They look to me like they're in about 4 rows. 4 or 5 rows.
There's about 30 back here.
There's one.
There's more right here.
Yep.
See right here?
Yeah, I see them. They're everywhere.
Right here's some more. Those should be right here that marks the place, that one I got the picture of.
Unbelievable. Well, this is about the very edge of it because I don't see any beyond this. But right here's one.
Yeah,
There's one where those ferns are growing.
right
There's another one.
here's one there, they get a big poplar too.
Amazing. Delph Cemetery, former location.
Yeah.
Everybody was moved.
They got the whole perimeter marked, son.
I'll look it up in the Corps of Engineers report and give you the specific information as to how many were moved. And I think they all went to Rest Haven.
They did.
But look at the size of that one. Step in that one. You see how deep they are. Then step over to that one, Brian.
This here probably got kids grave right here.
Yeah, that's an infant grave. Now look at that one over here, Brian. That's a big one there. That's an adult grave. Amazing.
That's crazy, man.
We've been wanting to find this for a while. It's crazy. The old location of the Delph Cemetery relocated. You know, here's a $1 million question. What the hell they move them for? Wasn't no need to.
I said probably like you said, probably future development and stuff like that.
I mean, it's sitting right here on this ridge in the middle of the forest. They wasn't bothering nobody. They left the Sears Cemetery alone. They left the Meiser Cemetery alone. This one right here, I'll tell you why I think they moved it. Because they could.
I wonder where Luke was buried up here.
Hard to know.
I'm pretty sure she had a headstone.
Here's another grave Brian is kneeling at that was moved, and right there is the stone.
Yeah.
Of course, there was no need in taking the stone, just like we said on the other one there a minute ago. That stone that's left behind is right there because they were unknown graves.
Yeah.
Right there. And here's another one. No need in taking them because they had fashioned a marker for them that they used at Rest Haven Cemetery.
The little blocks that you had in the video.
This video doesn't do this justice, but there are sinkholes everywhere.
There's probably about 30 right in here.
Right around 30 graves.
Yeah.
We don't mean to sound so giddy and excited about finding an old graveyard, but we've been trying to find this thing a while. And we just continuing to find more graves.
Yeah.
But you can see that one perfectly. Yeah, and the one right next to it. The Corps of Engineers, they opened these graves up. They removed the remains.
There's one right there.
They put them in a wooden box and labeled them, numbered them, and backfilled these. And over time, that backfilling has settled. Here's another one behind me right here by this little tree.
A couple bones up in here. You know what?
Yeah, that'd be 50, dude. Here's a couple more right in here. There's every bit of 30 graves here. That's a big one right there. Here's two side by side underneath this deadfall, this tree. And I tell you something that freaks me out about these old graveyards, Brian. Dadgum ferns find a way to grow in them.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kill them things. So these ones they were doing too.
So this was it, folks. This was the old Delph Cemetery. Blows my mind. Sometimes you set out with the end in mind, and we were looking for the old Cook home place and the Delph Cemetery, but I mean, the odds are against you to find these things. You're out here in the middle of the woods and nothing really jumps out at you. Brian had some information before from an older fella that told you something about this old post right here, Brian.
Yeah, Elmer Osgood right there. He was 95-year-old. He grew up in this country down on a bark camp right there. When you go down below the creek right there, his dad Alex also had a home place sitting down there in the bottom.
Yeah.
He told me right there. He said, Brian, he said, if you find the old chimney right there, he said you'll find the old cemetery, because the old cemetery was up about 100 yards up from the old chimney.
And he said, if you find this post,
Yeah,
you
so if you
found
find
it.
the old cedar post right there, you'll find the cemetery.
And the cemetery's what, 25 yards?
Just right there, yeah.
Right over through there. I mean, you'd never know it, as we just showed you. All of the old sunken spots where the graves were removed.
Yeah.
That's the most obvious one I've ever seen, Brian. Because most of the time, they didn't sink that much over time with the backfill that they did.
Yeah.
But that one presents itself well.
You can see where they put the axe marks into that post too.
Yeah, I know. So right where we are, of course, someone's put up some paracord. Someone's been here before. We're not the first to discover this. There's some paracords out here, like someone was leading themselves back to where the old cemetery was. And could have been family members who knew, but Brian and I didn't know. And of course, Brian found this, and here we are out exploring in the stinking woods on a winter day that ought to be colder than crap. And then you start getting back over here, all of a sudden they start jumping out at you, because there's one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Just trippy, just trippy.
There's no decoration from the cemetery.
It's an old vase.
Yeah.
It's an old glass cemetery vase.
That would have been from the cemetery right there.
Wow.
So,
They moved this in 1973.
yeah.
So as you're gallivanting in through here, show you the approach and what the approach looked like. We just start seeing them. I mean, they're laid out before you. I'll tell you something, I don't know about your attitude about it, but to me it's still hallowed ground, Brian.
Oh yeah, anywhere a cemetery laid, anything like that, people rested, anything like that, you want to respect it.
Oh yeah, I respect this, just like these people are still buried here. Because this is old timers, this is old home place burials, old family cemetery from 1800s. Fascinating.
Ready to head for them?
Yeah. We're off to our next spot. This is a drawing from the Corps of Engineers of the original layout of the Delph Cemetery. If you look in the lower left-hand corner, you will see an arrow pointed to grave number 2. That's Litha Delph Cook, and the only grave here that had a steel vault.
This is mainly the road right up here.
It's got to be going back that way. Well, we're trying to find our way out of here. Not that we're lost or anything, but yeah, we kind of are. And as we're wandering around, we found another home place. Son of a gun. Brian, did you know this was here?
No.
I didn't either. We found another chimney to another home place. Much smaller, but it's all rock, in just fieldstone laid rock. There's the water back there.
This is one side of the chimney.
That's a one-sider. But look at this big stone, this header stone, Brian. That big header stone right there. I mean, it's a small chimney.
Surprised that tree missed it right there and didn't knock it over.
Yeah, I know. When that tree fell, it could have took it out, and we'd have never found it.
That's crazy right there, man. This is main in the road right here.
Well, I guess we're lost.
The other old chimney's right back there, though.
Yeah. Well, and you stop and start looking at this. Of course, there wasn't no lake back here, but there was a river, and there were creeks and streams. So these people would have still been on a ridge. You know what I'm saying? This is an old Delph home place out here on Delph Ridge. These were some Delphs, had to be.
I bet you this right here's the old Josh Delph closed, or the old Josh and Lucinda Delph.
Josh and Lucinda Delph.
I about guarantee you this same thing that's their old home place right here. Josh and Lucinda.
I wouldn't speculate on it or not. Were they some of the older generation?
Yeah, Vicky Cook told me, said Josh and Lucinda lived up on the ridge. Their old home place sitting down there close to water. So this is it right here. So the water's right here.
Yeah, I know.
See, I didn't know she meant hit set down where the water's at now, though. Home place is there, but yeah, this is the old Josh and Lucinda home place right here.
Bonus find.
Yeah.
Bonus find. Crazy, man. Crazy. All right. That was just a little accidental find right there. Old Hawkeye's Brian spotted it off in the distance. In part 2, I make my second trip in to locate the old Pointer Cemetery location. Please join us.